Hello, Diargos here. Welcome back to my Factorio series, the Manhattan Project. Alright, so in between episodes, I added a few more mining areas for the uranium. Added this one. You can see some of them, if they're close by, I just connect with pipes. And then I added a couple more over here. I also, if we can look on the map, I connected this back up. This is the area with all the beacons, right, that's hogging a lot of the power. But we did add some more solar arrays up here. I think I added this entire row. It wasn't here before, since the last episode, I mean. And then also over here, there's a single connection point, and I'm using just some basic circuit logic with an accumulator here, so that this whole section is only turned on if the accumulator's charge is greater than, I think it's like 80% or something like that. I do want to go over there and add some better logic though, because right now it kind of flickers as the accumulators recharge for a couple seconds. It's not too bad, but you don't want that. Okay, the other thing is I added some more centrifuges here to process the uranium ore, and you can see we've got quite a lot of 238 now. And then I added a requester chest here for all the 235. So it looks like I've got one over here that hasn't, got a couple over here. There they go. We do have enough now. We've got a little over 100. I kind of let it run while I was doing other things. Didn't take too long with this full setup. But now we need to actually set up the Kovarex enrichment process, right? Because we need to make fuel cells out of uranium-235, and you can see the rate. If you look at this one's been running the most. It's finished 602 here. These bottom ones have done a lot less, 227. But each of them have done something between 227 to 600, right? And so you can imagine how many deposit ore pieces have been processed just to get 105 uranium-235. So what we want to do is set up enrichment process for the Kovarex so that we can generate more 235 from the 235 we have. Okay, so let's kind of step over here for a second, and we'll design something to do that. It's not going to be right here, but we kind of want to think about how we want to do it. So the Kovarex enrichment process takes 40 uranium-235 and 5 238. So we're going to need some of both, and it outputs one extra 235 basically. Okay, so I think instead of having belts coming in like this, I think the best thing to do would be to have requester chests, and see that it takes 50 seconds to run, right? So we might want to do this kind of scenario with the beacons, like we do before with the furnaces and the assemblers. Look at my book. Okay, so we could grab this, right? And pick that up. And is that clear? Yeah, so these are clear. So this is a blank one, right? And will a centrifuge fit here? Yeah, it will. Okay, so I don't think we need so many of these because it's not processing ore, right? So we'll take these off. And also with all of the, so it's at 4.5 now. I think these are at, the crafting speed is at 0.75. So just so you know, like the way that you figure this out, right? So if it takes 50 seconds to process whatever the crafting speed is, like so if it could be 5 seconds, it could be 1 second, it could be 50 seconds. If it takes 50 seconds, what you do is you take that time that the item takes to craft, in this case it's the Kovarex enrichment process, 50, and you divide it by the crafting time. So here's the crafting speed. Here's the crafting speed, it's 0.75, so it would be 50 divided by 0.75, right? And that's how long, that's the actual time in seconds that it will take to process. So over here, you can see it's much faster because it's 4.5, so it's going to divide that 50 by 4.5. And so that's going to be, what, 10 plus a little bit, like 2? I don't know. So like 12 seconds maybe? I don't have a calculator in front of me, and I'm bad bad at on the spot math, but we could probably get away with, let's do 1 and 1, because it's a long time to go, 12 seconds. So we would put in 238 and 235 here, right? And then output 238 and 235, right? Because it does output both. It just outputs only 2, and that can get fed right back in. And in fact, what we could do to kind of help this process out a little bit, I don't think we need stack inserters, but we can do like this, and we put down the provider chest there and the requester chest here, right? So it's going in, and then we put down a filter inserter right here, and it will filter on 238. So instantly any 238 that comes out here will just get moved right back, and it'll just get cycled through. You know, we could do that for the 235 as well. So do you remember, like, in the very beginning of the game, when you start any new game, this is kind of Factorio 101, I guess, or just something really basic that everyone does. Let's see if I can find it. I don't know if I still have it up. I don't think I do. Well, it's basically where you put these burner miners down, and usually you just do it with coal, and you let it feed into each other like a loop, right? And then you just come and collect it every once in a while. I could probably do something like that, where I've got like a loop being passed from one to the other. We wouldn't need to add any more 235 into the system. So if we had a closed loop, like a closed system, 235 would just grow and grow and grow, but the 238 we'd have to add in. Okay, so let's think about that. 235, 238. I mean, I don't think I want to do it where it's, if I had something like where I had, I don't know, like this. I don't know if this is even something that would work, right? But it's possible that they would just pass around the ingredients and never produce anything, or it would like stutter or something like that, right? And then we'd have, you know, a chest or something up here putting 238 in, and it would just get passed around, and then we could have another, I don't know how we would do that, another inserter that would take out, let's see if we had all of this, right? So there's all of our 235. So I guess you would have 41 here, and then I guess it could double it probably up to some stack, like 200 or something like that, I bet. And then the whole process would stop working. So we could have some inserters down that would take stuff out as it gets over a certain amount. But then they would run at 50 seconds, and we'd have to have beacons or something around them. We don't have to do it like that exactly. We can do the same kind of thing without direct insertion. We can do it with logistics, with these bots like this, right? So we don't even need a filter inserter here, because everything we put out would go right back in, right? The only thing we would want to request is 238. And we could also request 235 if let's kind of see how this works. And we can also add productivity modules. It's only for intermediate products, right? Okay. I guess speed modules would be better than. Okay, so it's taken in 11. Okay. Let's kind of just watch how this works. We'll put in all of that. Okay, so it gets to 41, or it gets to 40. Okay, so it outputs stuff there, puts it back in here, goes back in. Remember, I started with 105. So it's producing 1 uranium-235 every time it completes. Which with... So now it's 5.25. Here, let me do a quick calculator bit here. So we said it's 50 seconds divided by 5.25. So 9.5. So this takes 9.5 seconds. Let's try 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi, 6 Mississippi, 7 Mississippi, 8 Mississippi, 9 Mississippi. Maybe I go a little fast. Around there, 9.5. I think that's right. Okay. Pretty cool. Every 10 seconds it produces 1 new one. And you just put 40 in to start and you're good. I don't even think that this needs to be a provider chest. I don't think so. Because then that would confuse the bots, right? Maybe I should make it a steel chest. This can still request uranium-238. And that way I have a completely closed system in terms of 235. It's whatever I put in, right? Okay, let's do this. Let's unplug that. We'll let this run one more time and see what we've got total. I don't care about the 238. It can stack up, right? That's just extra. Okay, so... I bet we're going to have like 112 total, is my guess. Oh, wow. That went a lot faster than I was expecting. 126. Okay. Cool. So what I can do is I can actually replicate this and generate a lot of uranium-235. Is there anything else I want to do before I copy this? It would be nice to be able to... So having more than 40 doesn't help. Like, okay, let's say I start with 40, right? When I get to 80, I want to take that extra 40 and move it out, right? Or... Another way to put it is I only want to keep 40 in the system and just have it constantly churning over. And every single one that comes out, every extra one that comes out, the 41st uranium-235 out of the product, I want to take that and move it into like a global pool that could then feed new uranium enrichment centrifuges, right? How to do that? I mean, or do I even want to bother? I could just come and check every once in a while, but that's not really automated. I could use some kind of circuit logic and take stuff out. Like, The problem is that this stuff is like, it's never all in one chest to check, right? As soon as it moves here, it gets moved here. As soon as it's moved here, it gets moved in here, and there's some here and there's some there, you know, and it's all a lot. So I could check here in this chest, right? So if this had more than it could hold while it's processing, which would be, I don't know the numbers, probably like 111. All right, so it already consumed 80. I can't tell because it's already running, right? But yeah, I could check this chest, I guess, if I wanted to. And then I can move it into a provider chest that then gets picked up and they do something with that. Okay, I don't know. Maybe I'll just kind of do this for a bit, let it run. Now, the only question is, do I want to deal with the power? Speaking of which, by the way, I also turned on, since I was moving stuff over toward the east again. I changed the train stop to come to this one instead of the far one. So I'm going to fill in this one first, and then we'll go back working on the other side again. Okay, so let's put down a few more. I'm just kind of doing this as much as I can. Keep it going. Right, is that? It looked weird. Okay. Just keep them always building. Unfortunately, I forget very often. Okay. All right, building that. Okay, yeah, I think I want to do this and just have it go faster. And this seems like enough room. If I come out over here, I can have more ore processing. So I can start with the enrichment part underneath this row here. There's a problem though, and that is I have this water line here, so I need to move that. Where would be a good place to move that? Man, this is pretty far away. Oh, there's water right there. Okay, so that's for the concrete. That's concrete that's building more centrifuges, right? So, do I have enough pipes on me? I just have 50. Thought I had more than that. Alright, let me go grab some. We'll set up the enrichment beacons, just kind of like we did with the ore processing, which is currently running, I think. Oh, and yeah, so it's turned off now. That's good. So at night, basically what it is at night it turns off because you can see the accumulators are down below 80% now, and now you can see it's flicking back on. See, that's the it's called, what is that called? Hyperstasis, I think, something like that. It's where there's like this loop. We'll talk about it later because there's a quick fix we can do for that. It's been a while since I've had to deal with that. I don't remember it from college, but essentially it's where, let's say the situation, it's not really happening in this case, but you could have a situation where, there they are. No, that's not them. Where the heck are the pipes? There they are. Okay. We'll take 3 stacks. Okay, so you could have a situation where, let's say that I want some system to turn off when power drops below 50%, say, right? And so that's what I have right now. I have a simple mechanism that says when power is below 50%, you're off. When it's above 50%, you're on, okay? But if that system drains all of the power so quickly that every time it goes over 50 seconds, it's only like a second before it's drained back below 50%, then what you get is this loop where it turns off and then it can get back up enough power, and then it turns back on, and then it drains the power really quickly back down below the threshold, and it just kind of yo-yos back and forth, and that yo-yo effect is called hyperstasis, I think, is what it is. If I remember correctly. That might be... Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's it. Hyperstasis. Alright, where are we going? This way? I'm just going to clear all this before I lay down the pipe so I can run it. Okay, we got some... Oh, big uranium out here, too. Okay, I think we can just come, like, right through here. Okay. That's fine. Okay, and I need a pump. Do I have a pump on me already? I probably do, and I'm not seeing it. It's okay, I'll just make one. Pumps, second page, right there. Okay. Okay, I guess I didn't have one. You know, we want to aim you right down the middle. So yeah, what happens is that yo-yo effect kind of shuts everything down in a weird way, in that I better take these guys in before I run off. Okay. you can't really turn anything on because it's constantly turning on and off, on and off, on and off over and over again. And then another problem is that if anything has a startup or in some weird cases shutdown cost, it's usually a startup cost, right? Like the first time you turn it on, it takes a little bit of extra energy or electricity or whatever it might be. That can be a problem because that flickering, it is not meant to, it's supposed to turn, like the device might be meant to turn on once, it has a big startup cost, and then it's fine for a good long while. But if it's constantly flickering on and off, it's using up even more power than it might otherwise use, and then it's like exacerbating the problem, right? So that's why what you do is you use usually an SR latch that will basically just hold the value. It just holds like a true false value for you. So it'll be where, and they're usually pretty simple. And there's like a million different ways you can do SR latches. But what it does is say like, okay, instead of saying at 50, below 50 you're off and above 50 you're on, it's more like, kind of like you're giving it a buffer where you say below 50 you're off, but you don't turn on. Once you're off, you stay off, period, right? Even if you go above 50. But then you have additional logic that says once you're above some other number, then you can turn on. And that other number you give a buffer for. So you wouldn't do 51 because then you have the same problem. It's just extra logic around it, right? You would do something like 80% or 90%, some higher number. That way you have a big gap between charges. Okay, so I can probably fill that in now. Okay. So we want to blueprint this, right? I think that's right. Let me double check. Steel chest. Why is that not running? Oh, I don't want to blueprint that because I want to have the loop, right? And yeah, speed modules, I guess. I don't care about energy because we're gonna just solve that. I mean, we'll use efficiency modules, I guess, somewhere, but not here. I want this to go fast. Okay, so we blueprint this, and we want this to be Kovarex enrichment process. So we will do a centrifuge with uranium 235. Okay. Now I'm going to pick this up, and I'm going to pick this up, and this up, and this up, and this up. Okay, and that. I'm just going to make sure that I get all the stuff before I risk some bot coming and flying off with 235. Okay, so we got a little bit more. How many do we have? So we can make, looks like we can make 4. Okay, that kind of stinks. Okay, do I have, yeah, there's enough room right here. Okay, so right there. We'll do like a short roll like this. That way I can kind of get a sense of how it's going to work and how fast we'll get them. And maybe I can think about how I want to extract the extra uranium 235 out. Because I don't want to manually come over here. But I kind of want something going right now just so I can get a feel for it. And let's actually put in... I wish that I could do this better. Okay, so I want 40, right? So 40 is the magic number. And now that'll keep producing more and more. And then 40 again. I know I should have just taken half, right? I don't want to trash that. Oh boy. There we go. All right. That in there. 38. And we'll put 2 more. 1, 2. And then 35 is not going to be enough, unfortunately. So we'll hang on to that for now. Okay, so that one's running already. This one's, what are we waiting on? Beacons? probably need to get some RoboPorts out here. I'm going to end the episode here because it's way over already. So thanks for watching. In the next episode, we're just going to continue right where we left off.